Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Talk with Wale and Yotoye. And now this is episode 4. I am so excited to share some 5 or 4 basic points with you on what we're going to be discussing today, which is how to manage your team remotely. 2020 has been a very different year for a lot of us and for a lot of different reasons. The workplace historically has changed over time, and a lot of us never really predicted that working remotely or work from anywhere is going to become the norm of the day. The goal has always been the next 3, 4, 5 years. That is what is going to become the norms. But COVID in 2020 is a different ball game. So today on this episode, I'm going to be talking to you about managing your team remotely. When we talk about managing a team remotely, as a manager, we usually have the tendency of thinking because somebody is remote and they're not in the office physically, there's a lot of things that is different right in there. And especially if you're managers who love to micromanage. Congratulations, 2020 is different. So meaning you have no choice but to adjust your management style. The first thing I'm going to be sharing with you on this episode is don't make the mistake of treating your remote employees differently from the office employees. Half of the time, because we see people physically, they have a physical presence in the office, we usually make the mistake of thinking, oh, this person is working so hard, they're trying to break the back, they're really breaking the sweat, making sure that the job is done. However, we have the tendency of rating the remote employees differently than we do for those in the physical office, which is a mistake a lot of managers actually make. But I'm not going to be too hard on you on this episode because guess what? We all are learning and it's a different management style for each one and every one of us. So when you have a remote employees, make sure you set the right expectations so that way, regardless of you see them physically or you don't, you're rest assured that the job is being done and the project has been executed and they're being paid for the job they're doing. The second thing that I'm going to be sharing with you on this episode is get to know your team. Before COVID, we usually have all these team events, hangout events, get to know people on your program. But now that there's COVID and a lot of employees are working remotely, naturally, many managers make the mistake of thinking that because you work remotely, there is really no reason for me to try and know you. But if you don't know your employees, just like we discussed on the first episode, checklist for managers, get to know your team. So this is an opportunity for you to okay, you know what, even though you're working in different countries or you work by a different time zone, I still want to get to know you. I've had the privilege of managing programs where my team members were spread across the world globally, different time zones, and I still found the time to be able to relate with each one and every one of them. So eventually when we had a chance to meet at the end of the year, when we all have the chance to be in a particular room on a particular location all together, we are no longer strangers to each other. Even though we work in different time zones and different locations, they know who I am, I know who they are, they know my expectations, and I also understand what their expectation is. So get to know your team is very, very important. And the third one I'm going to be sharing with you today is create a schedule, like check up on your team. I know a lot is going on right now in the world, and we all have our own personal issues that we're trying to address to be to your manager, your team member. We all have issues that we're addressing. So it might be personal, it might be professional, or wherever the issue is. And also, COVID itself is more than enough for each one and every one of us to handle. So create a schedule to check up on people. We can get lost in the project, the deadline, the timeline of jobs that needs to be done. But don't make the mistake of not checking up on your team. It might be a single Slack message. It might be a single email. Like, how are you doing today? How was your weekend? What are the plans? Did you have a great time with your family? Get to know them. Get them to talk. So create that schedule. Check up on them every now and then. But at the same time, don't make a nuisance of it. Because people will get the job done, they intentionally decide to work remotely for a particular reason. So you constantly try to micromanage them through a video conferencing and always being on their neck. If the job is not done, don't complain. That is all on you. The last one I'm going to be sharing with you right now is please and please remember to acknowledge the job that your teammates are doing, even though they're remote. Usually we say out of sight is out of mind, which technically is true. There are people in the office that you see every day. They come into the office at 8 o'clock and they leave at 5 p.m. You want to say, oh, job well done, great job. But because we can't see the people working remotely, we tend to overlook some of the jobs that they've done as well. But remember, each and everybody on the program is playing their part in making sure that you meet the deliverables. So long as they're doing the job and they're delivering on projects and meeting deadline, do not forget to give them the kudos they deserve, because that is the only way they can do more. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe and visit our website www.waleayantoye.com. And I'm always going to be your host, Wale Ayantoye. Thank you.